Hey everybody and welcome. You ready to level up our investing game? Today we're talking about Phil Carrot, one of Warren Buffett's own investing heroes. And get this, 8 decades running a successful fund. 8. Averaging 14% returns annually. Like, are you kidding me? That's insane.
And I'll bet most people listening haven't even heard of Phil Carrot, which is kind of crazy given his track record.
I know, right? It's like we're getting access to these secret insights that could give you a real leg up.
Absolutely. And this article you sent, this one really digs deep into Carrot's core investing philosophy.
Yeah.
Finding companies with exceptional CEOs. But it's more than just like, oh yeah, good leadership. That's important.
Totally.
This is about understanding why it's absolutely paramount.
I'm so glad we're doing this deep dive.
Yeah.
Because this is something I'm trying to get better at. It's easy to get caught up in the financials, right?
Oh, for sure. Like just digging into the spreadsheets and the numbers. But Carrot, he was adamant that a company's success, it hinges on the person at the helm, their vision, their leadership.
It's about so much more than just the numbers.
It's that human element that really determines long-term success.
And the article goes right into some examples, and this one about Sam Walton, the Walmart guy, it really blew my mind.
Oh, yeah, Sam Walton.
His first store in Newport, Arkansas.
Right.
Wildly successful until he lost the lease.
It's almost like a textbook example of this, right? Like he didn't have a renewal clause, and the landlord's son took over the exact same location. I mean, everything the same. And what happened? It flopped. Totally tanked.
It's crazy because can you imagine you're an investor back then and you see the numbers, you're like, jackpot.
Exactly.
But it was Sam Walton's drive, his customer-centric approach.
Yes.
It wasn't just a store.
Exactly.
And that's what's so easy to miss if you just focus on the balance sheet.
100%. And the article goes on to talk about another, iconic example, Ray Kroc and McDonald's. And it wasn't about the burgers and fries. I mean, yeah, they're important.
They're good burgers.
But it was Kroc's ambition, his expansion strategy. That's what turned it from a single diner into a global empire. I mean, we might not even have fast food as we know it if it wasn't for Ray Kroc.
I never thought of it that way.
It's wild, right?
It's really making me rethink some things.
And then to really, hammer home the point that you need someone capable, steering their ship, the article talks about Herb Kelleher and Southwest Airlines. Think about it. Airlines are a notoriously difficult industry. So many bankruptcies.
For many.
But Southwest, they thrived under Kelleher. They were profitable for 47 consecutive years. Can you believe that? 47.
That's unheard of in that industry.
Practically unheard of, right?
Oh.
It really goes to show, same industry, same challenges, but the outcomes can be drastically different depending on who's calling the shots.
It's almost like you can kind of use a company's track record during really tough times as a way to judge the strength of their leadership.
It's a really good point.
That's something I can actually look for.
100%.
Great.
And that's what makes Carrot's emphasis on management quality so insightful, right? Because it's not always easy to quantify the impact of leadership, but as these examples show, it's undeniable.
It really is. So it seems like we can all agree having a good idea is one thing. Having a great leader to execute on that idea is something completely different.
Completely.
And that's what separates the good companies from the truly great companies. And this reminds me of something else from the article about Xerox PRX. They invented everything. Graphical user interface.
Oh, tell me about it.
The mouse.
Yeah.
Ethernet.
That's crazy.
Groundbreaking stuff. But then, what happened?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? That is a classic example of brilliant ideas just completely floundering without the right leadership. They had all the pieces, all the ingredients, but they didn't have the chef to pull it all together.
Yeah.
It's they gave everyone the recipe for this tech revolution, but they couldn't figure out how to capitalize on it themselves.
It's wild.
A total lack of leadership to take those innovations and turn them into things that people actually wanted to use.
And then you have Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, who, granted, they didn't come up with the ideas themselves, but they saw the potential and they made it, they made it accessible, desirable even, and turned it into something that changed the world.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of how the right leader at the helm can just completely change the trajectory of a company.
Yeah.
And speaking of the right leadership, I really liked how the article broke down those key characteristics of exceptional CEOs.
It was a good list.
Did any of them surprise you?
Honestly, yeah, a few did. I mean, some of them were pretty intuitive, unconventional thinking.
Right.
You think about Sam Walton again, right? just totally revolutionized the retail landscape with that whole focus on low prices
Yeah.
and like really putting the customer first. That took some serious guts to go against the grain like that.
Absolutely. It takes a certain kind of leader.
What else was on the list?
So this is one that I think is often overlooked. Decentralized management.
Yeah.
Carrot was a huge believer in avoiding those really rigid, hierarchical structures that can stifle creativity.
Oh, for sure.
In decision-making, he wanted to empower teams to operate with autonomy
I like that.
and agility.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about trusting your people
Yes.
to make the right call.
Exactly.
Building a team of leaders instead of having to micromanage every little detail.
1,000%. And that goes hand in hand with the next one on the list,
Okay.
which is internal talent nurturing.
Okay.
These exceptional CEOs, they prioritize promoting from within.
Interesting.
They get it. They understand that the people who already understand the company culture, the people who have been there, those are the ones who are often the best suited for leadership roles.
It's not just about attracting the best people, it's about cultivating them too.
100%. You're building this deep bench of future leaders who are ready to step up when the time comes.
I love that. And it must be so good for company morale too, that loyalty from the top down.
Oh, absolutely. It creates this really strong and cohesive culture, which is so important for long-term success.
Makes sense.
Now, this next one might seem kind of obvious, but you'd be surprised how often it's ignored. Frugality.
The good old a penny saved is a penny earned philosophy.
That's the one. And the article has some great examples.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those iconic door desks from the early days of Amazon?
Yeah.
Talk about frugality.
Oh.
Or Herb Kelleher at Southwest opting for peanuts over full meals.
Right, to keep the costs down.
And keep the cost down. Who needs a fancy meal when you're saving money and getting to where you need to go, right?
It's so funny you mentioned those Amazon door desks because actually, can you imagine trying to get any work done on a door? I mean, maybe that's the secret to Bezos's success, just pure discomfort.
Right.
But, I mean, all jokes aside, it just highlights how those seemingly small decisions, that commitment to avoiding unnecessary expenses, it adds up.
It all adds up.
In the long run.
Every dollar saved is a dollar that can then be reinvested in growth or in innovation, in people.
Right.
And that brings us to the, I think, final and maybe the most crucial trait for sustained success, which is long-term vision.
Yes.
We're talking about playing the long game here.
Not just chasing those quarterly earnings reports.
Exactly.
Got to think bigger.
Think bigger. It's about building a legacy, not just a quick payday.
Right.
The article used this analogy of an Arab date farmer who plants trees that won't actually bear fruit for decades.
Wow.
Right. Investing in the future for generations to come.
Wow.
And I thought that was so powerful because it's that kind of mindset that we should be looking for in CEOs.
Long game.
Long game. Long game. And it stands in such stark contrast to what we see from a lot of CEOs today.
Totally.
This short-term mentality, right?
The pressure to get those results now.
Yes. The constant pressure for immediate results, the obsession with what's the stock price doing this week?
This minute.
It's rough out there. It's enough to make anyone feel a little short-sighted.
You're telling me. And you know what this makes me think about? It makes me think about that anecdote in the article about Warren Buffett and those DCF models.
Ah, yes. The fingers and toes method.
I love that. That's such a Charlie Munger thing to say.
Oh, totally. A Charlieism, but so brilliant.
It is.
Because it really drives home the point that even the most sophisticated financial models out there, they have their limitations.
Yeah, they can't capture everything.
They can't capture it all. And as Buffett himself has said, it's not just about crunching the numbers, it's about understanding the underlying business.
The story behind the number.
The story, exactly. And perhaps most importantly, the people driving that story.
It's like judging a book by its cover.
Yes, 100%.
You can't really assess a company's potential without taking the time to get to know the people at the very top.
It's all connected.
It really is. And it kind of reminds me of another thing Carrot said about seeking out missionaries, not mercenaries. Did that resonate with you at all? Oh, absolutely. Such a great way to put it, right? It really gets to the heart of, what is driving this leader?
Totally.
Are they in it for the long haul? Are they trying to build something meaningful? Or are they just chasing a bonus and ready to jump ship when things get tough?
It's funny you say that because I've worked for both types.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it makes all the difference.
Oh, yeah.
But it can be hard to tell, what a CEO's true motivations are just from looking at a website.
Oh, for sure. It takes a little more digging, than just reading a mission statement.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to look at how they treat their employees, how they handle those tough challenges.
Yeah.
Do their actions actually line up with their words?
So how can you spot those missionaries? Are there, like, any telltale signs? For me, a big one is consistency. Like, do they actually walk the walk, or is it all just talk? Do they embody those traits we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Long-term vision, commitment to their people, willingness to, buck the trend a little bit.
I like that.
Those are all good signs.
It's like that saying, actions speak louder than words. Right.
100%. 100%.
It's one thing to say you have a great company culture, but if you're prioritizing short-term profits over your employees, well...
Yeah, your actions are telling a different story.
Actions speak louder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's in those moments of adversity,
Yeah.
when a company faces a setback, maybe even a crisis, that's when a leader's true colors really come out.
Pressure reveals what's really there.
Exactly. Are they transparent? Are they accountable? Do they prioritize the long-term health of the company, even if it means, maybe taking a hit in the short term?
It's like, smooth seas don't make skilled sailors, right?
That's a good one. You really find out what someone's made of when things get tough.
Love it.
And I think that's maybe the biggest takeaway here.
Okay.
When we're thinking about companies, where to invest our time and our money, we need to look beyond just the numbers.
The story behind the numbers.
Yes, we have to remember that leadership matters. It
That's
matters a lot.
Behind every great company,
There's a great leader.
someone who inspires, who innovates, who guides a team through those inevitable challenges.
And comes out even stronger.
Yes, exactly.
And on the flip side, even companies that seem really promising, they can fall apart if they don't have the right person at the helm.
It's true. The difference is huge.
It's huge. It's a good reminder that people really are a company's most valuable asset.
Totally.
And those missionary leaders.
Yeah.
Those are the ones to watch.
Those are the ones. So I think we have a little assignment for our listeners.
I like it.
Think about the leaders you admire, the ones who embody that missionary spirit.
Yes.
What is it about them? How do their actions reflect their values?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And not just when it comes to investing either, but just in our lives.
That's true.
Who are the people we choose to follow, to support? Who are we letting inspire us?
I love that. That's a great place to wrap up, I think. This has been such a good conversation. I always learn so much from you.
Likewise. The pleasure's all mine. Always a good time.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this little deep dive into the world of investing and leadership. Keep those questions coming, and until next time, remember, investing in people is just as important as investing in your portfolio.